All right. Well, before we begin, I need a volunteer with a strong arm. I'm looking at you, boys. Who's going to volunteer for me? He's already volunteered for something.
I'm lower strength, not upper strength. I have terrible upper strength.
Who has a strong arm?
Not it.
You don't have to have a super strong arm.
Okay, I'll do it.
Come on. All right, you need to hold this bottle straight out, straight elbow, like that, and just hold it right there, okay?
Oh, I just don't like this.
All right, so I'm gonna ask, how much do you guys think this water bottle weighs?
Couple of ounces.
A couple ounces, okay. Anybody else?
Oh, this isn't somewhere on there, right? It's too far away to read.
16.9.
16.9 ounces, fluid ounces, yeah. You used to know what a water bottle weighed. All right, so yeah, it probably weighs about a pound, actually. Full water bottle, 2 cups of water, weighs about a pound. But the fact of the matter is, the actual weight of the water bottle doesn't matter. Because it might not seem very heavy right now, right? It doesn't seem heavy.
No, but it's heavier than when I started.
Yeah, what if you held it there for 5 minutes?
I don't know if I can make it.
Yeah. What about if you tried to make it a whole hour?
No.
A whole day? You think any of you could do that?
Nope.
Probably not. It would get heavier and heavier, even though the weight doesn't actually change. I see his arm dropping just a little bit. Eventually, it could even cause real damage. Actually hurt his shoulder. He might even lose feeling in his hand. He might drop it, whether or not he wanted to. And the weight didn't change. The bottle didn't actually get heavier, but it sure seemed to. Because the problem was never the bottle, it was holding on to it for too long. That right there, you see that shaking that's happening there? That's what holding on to emotional weight does to us too. The weight of a grudge, the weight of a past failure that you just can't let go of, that you can't forgive yourself for. The weight of shame, the weight of bitterness, the weight of an old hurt that someone else caused you. The weight of that mistake that you keep playing over and over in your head. Is it hurting yet?
Not yet.
Good. None of those things ever get heavier on their own. But the longer you hold them, extended, rigid, refusing to put them down, the more they drain you. They exhaust your emotional energy. They steal your mental clarity, and they slow you down in every area of your life. And here's what's interesting. You often don't even realize that it's happening. See how his hand has dropped a little further? You get so used to the weight of it, you think you're just tired. You think you're just not motivated enough. You think you're just stuck. But sometimes you're just holding on to something that you were supposed to put down a long time ago. Thank you. You can sit it down. Today we're going to be talking about what we're carrying, why we carry it, and how to put it down. And then how to go one step further and actually thank God for all the very things that weighed you down in the first place. So what kind of things are we actually talking about? What does emotional weight look like in a real teenager's life these days? What are some things that just like weigh us down? Come on, I know you guys all have examples of things.
Expectations?
There you go, expectations. Mainly other people's expectations probably, but sometimes the expectations we put on ourselves. Yeah. Do you have an example of something that weighs you down? No? Keeping your room clean?
I'm already working on that.
Okay. What about mistakes we've made in the past?
Yeah.
That probably has a tendency to weigh us down.
Homework.
Yeah? Yeah? The weight of the expectation of homework. Absolutely. Academically, all things, homework and classwork, and performing in the classroom, trying not to be awkward, don't let somebody know that you're weird.
I gave up on that one.
That was my entire childhood and well into my adulthood. I didn't give up on it until I was about 24. I finally embraced the weird. Right? Even though it's been months since you made that silly mistake, it keeps on replaying at your head at 2 a.m. Right? Maybe it's something that someone said about you that was unkind. And maybe even you forgave them about it, but there's still a little residue of it that you're holding inside. Maybe it's a disappointment, a door that closed and you feel like you'll never get that opportunity again, a thing you wanted that didn't happen. And even as life moved on, there's still a little grief there that you're holding on to. Maybe it's just the general weight of feeling like you're behind, like everyone else has something figured out that you haven't yet, or like you're not becoming the person you're supposed to become, and you're not becoming that person fast enough for sure. All of that is emotional weight, and some of it is completely valid to feel. I'm not here to tell you that hard things don't hurt. I know they do. Or that you shouldn't have emotions about them. You're human. You're going to feel things. That is not a design flaw. It's how God designed us. But there's a difference between feeling something and carrying it indefinitely. Between processing the pain and building a home in it. That's why God tells us to lay our burdens at his feet. They aren't ours to carry for too long. And one of the heaviest things that people carry is failure. Their own failures. We're going to spend a few minutes on that one specifically, because I think it might be the most misunderstood weight in the room. What is the first emotion that comes up for most people when they fail at something?
Fear.
Fear.
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment. Anger. Absolutely. Any guesses? Anything else? Yeah.
And grief.
Yeah, I mean, shame, embarrassment, disappointment, frustration are all the things I guessed. And that is an emotional response. And that is why people stop trying. Not because they don't want to succeed, but because failure feels so bad that the brain starts doing its job. You guys remember what the brain's job is?
To protect us.
To protect us, to keep us safe from danger. So it sits there and says, oh, trying equals failure equals pain. That means we shouldn't try anymore, right? And that's the safe move. The brain knows that not trying will not cause pain. Not directly, right? But here's what I want you guys to see today. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is actually a required part of the process, of the path to success. It's not a detour. It's not an unfortunate side effect. It's part of the path to success. I'm going to give you guys some names. I bet you know some of them. Thomas Edison. We've talked about him and his failures in this class before. He failed over 1,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. 1,000 attempts. And that's just, from what we can read. Some reports say 10,000, some say 5,000. Everybody agrees it was at least 1,000 attempts, because that's what we have notes for. But do you remember what he said about it? I know you know it. What did he say about it?
He said that he hadn't failed. He just found ways that didn't work.
Exactly. I have just found 1,000 ways that will not work. He didn't see failure as a wall, as a dead end. He saw it as data. That's all it is, data. Michael Jordan. Widely considered the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't care who says that it's some other person, like LeBron. It is Michael Jordan. The fact of the matter is LeBron and Michael played two very different versions of basketball. Basketball has changed, just like every sport. So, did you guys know that he was actually cut from his high school basketball team? They told him he wasn't good enough. Can you imagine being that coach 20 years later? Like, whoo, man, I've really kicked the bucket on that one. Right? He used to say that he failed over and over and over again in his career, and that is exactly why he succeeded. Those are his words. I have failed over and over and over in my career, and that's exactly why I've succeeded. J.K. Rowling. I know Courtney knows this one. Harry Potter was rejected by 12 different publishers before one finally said yes. At the time, she was a single mom living on welfare with nothing but her little typewriter. and a dream. And she kept on writing. If any one of those 12 had said yes before that 13th one, Harry Potter might have been a very different story. Because she continued writing up until that 13th publisher said yes.
All those other publishers look
Yeah.
back like,
I bet
It's
they
missing
all
one of the
went,
biggest
oh
series."
man.
it's one of the biggest franchises
I
in the
know.
world.
And now they're doing the new series.
Yep.
So excited about that.
I'm excited about it, but some things I'm like,
You cannot replace the original actor.
No,
who
you
had
can't
Yeah, I
replace the
know.
originals, of course. But imagine how much closer to the book they're going to be able to
that's-
get
that's
putting each
what
book
I'm
into a
excited about.
season instead of a movie.
I think people are gonna love it, but they're not gonna like it because the movies was kind of
Iconic.
yeah, and people,
Yeah.
some people grew
Well,
up with like
what gets me
Yeah.
is they have a Severus Snape, and the book description of him and the actor that he chose. I'm not trying to be like that or anything. But
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
But
like,
I am excited. I am excited overall. I know that there's going to be some things that I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh, but
but
it's okay.
it's okay.
I'm just excited. Because, I mean, the movie did a really good job staying to the book
Mhm.
as much as a movie can.
Yeah.
But man, I can't imagine how good they're going to be able to do. Oprah Winfrey, you know the you get a car, you get a car, you get a car lady. She was actually fired from her first television job. She was told that she is unfit for TV news. She said that later on she said that getting fired was actually the best thing that ever happened to her because it sent her toward exactly what she was built for. Abraham Lincoln. This is one I didn't know until I looked it up for this. He lost 8 elections. Did you guys know that? Abraham Lincoln, he had a nervous breakdown. He failed in multiple businesses, and yet he went on to become one of the most important presidents in America's history. He failed 8 elections. What? That's 32 years worth of elections. None of these people would have become who they became without every single one of those failures. Not in spite of the failures, but because of them. Each one taught them something, strengthened something in them that they would need later on. They didn't know at that time. And redirected them somewhere better than where they were.
I can add one to that list.
Okay.
Robin Williams was voted least likely to succeed in his group.
Yep. I love that one because I love Robin Williams. He was one of my absolute favorites. Still is one of my favorite actors. I still go through my phases of binging all his movies. All right, now here's the brain science. Remember your RAS? Your reticular activating system? That's your brain's filter. It is the part of your brain that tells you what to look for. Okay? When you treat failure as shameful, when you carry it as a weight, and you hold it out in front of you and go, oh man, I failed, you focus on it. You even if you hide from it, you're still focusing on it. You are telling your brain that it's important. And when you tell your brain something's important, you're programming your RAS to look for it. You're programming it to look for danger, to protect you from trying again. You become more risk averse, more hesitant, more likely to self-sabotage before you've even given it a real shot. Just so that failure can't catch you off guard. If I make myself fail, then I know it's coming, and then I won't get hurt. But when you treat failure as data, like all of those names I just mentioned, as information, as a step in the process, your RAS shifts. It starts looking for what you can learn, looking for the opportunities behind the failures, what you can adjust, what the next attempt might look like. And it stops treating trying and failing as a threat and starts treating it as a normal part of the game, which it is. I want you guys to look at our very long anchor verse today. I couldn't choose just one part of it because I almost chose just James 1, 2 through 3. But then the fourth was just so perfect. In James 1, 2, it doesn't say that if you face trials, does it? What word does he use there? Whenever you face trials. Because God already knew. He He already knew we were going to face trials. Trials aren't a surprise in his plan, are they? They're built into the design of his plan. They're part of his plan. So consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. There's that mature and complete. I love that. Not lacking anything. That's the destination. And the path there runs directly through the trials, through the failures, not around them. All right? Okay. I want to teach you guys something that sounds really simple, but that I genuinely believe can rewire your brain over time. And this is where we're shifting into more of a gratitude stance. We're not going to just weigh on failures. It's a 2-word swap. Really, it's one word. We just change out. Okay? Those words are have to versus get to. I have to go to school today. I get to go to school today in a world where millions of children don't have that opportunity. I have to do this workout. I get to do this workout in a body that is strong enough to move. I have to take care of this responsibility. I get to take care of this responsibility because it means I'm trusted and capable. I have to get up early. I get to see another morning. You see what's happening there? I'm not saying pretend that everything is great when it's not. I get that there's some things we do just have to do. That's not what this is. Some things genuinely are hard. Some seasons genuinely are painful. I'm not asking you guys to perform happiness that you don't feel. But there's a real difference between what you are experiencing and the story you tell yourself about what you are experiencing. And the story matters more than most people realize. Because going back to what we know about the RAS, your brain is always listening to the language you use. That story you're telling it. When you tell your brain, I have to, it hears burden, obligation, something being done to me, something I'm trapped in, right? It hears have to. And it starts looking for evidence that your life is full of burdens and traps, and terrible and waiting. Ugh. That's what your brain does. Sorry, it's a little dramatic, remember? But when you tell your brain that you get to, well, then it hears opportunity, privilege, something I'm choosing, something worth being grateful for. And it starts looking for more of that, more opportunity, more privilege, more things you get to choose, more things to be grateful for. Same life, different filter, different experience. I've been practicing this for a few years now, and I won't pretend that it always feels natural. It doesn't always. There are still days where I have to catch myself mid-complaint, and I'll have to flip it, because then the more I've practiced it, the more I've genuinely started to feel it. And it's not fake anymore. It's become more like how I actually see things, most of the time. And actually, I think that's what Paul meant in one of my favorite verses in Philippians 4:11, when he said, I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. Learned. Not born with it, not blessed with it, not given that, right? It took practice and learning, the same way any skill takes practice and learning. All right, so here's the science and danger of complaining, of that I have to, right? I want to talk about it, and it might make you think twice the next time you're tempted to go on a venting spiral. Complaining. The average person complains 20 to 30 times a day. 20 to 30 times. You guys think about it for a second. How many times do you think you complain in a day? Just think about it. You don't have to share.
Sounds accurate.
I think for some of my kids, that's a very low estimate. But I think I've gotten myself under 20. Probably. I don't know. Half of those are probably about my children, so. We all do it. And not all of it is bad. There's a healthy version of acknowledging the hard things, right? Naming what's difficult and processing it with someone you trust. But I'm talking about habitual complaining. The kind where your default mode is noticing what's wrong, voicing what's wrong, and looking for other people to agree with the things that you think is wrong. And here's what happens in your brain when you do that consistently. Remember those neural pathways we've talked so much about? Well, every thought you think is like a path being walked in your brain. And the more you walk it, the more worn in that path becomes, and the more automatic it gets. When you consistently complain, you are building that neural superhighway of negativity. You're training your brain to scan for what's wrong, because that's what keeps on getting asked of it. And your RAS, that filter, starts flagging more and more things as problems. Ooh, there's something to complain about. Ooh, there's something to complain about. Ooh, there's something to complain about. You literally start experiencing life as harder than it is. Man, that stinks that we can do that to ourselves. The research on this is fascinating and honestly a little bit alarming, because studies have shown that people who are chronic complainers actually have higher levels of the stress hormone, cortisol, which, if you remember in our stress lesson, disrupts your sleep, weakens your immune system, so makes you more likely to get sick more often, raises your blood pressure, and over time does real physical damage to your brain. And here's the one thing that really got my attention when I first read it. Some studies have shown a correlation between habitual negative thinking, that complaining attitude, and an increased risk of cognitive decline, like Alzheimer's and dementia. As someone who lost their grandfather to dementia, that hit me hard. Because the more you complain correlates to the sooner you die? What? I think that's worth looking into, right? Your brain will literally deteriorate faster when it spends most of its time in a negative state, which makes sense to me. Now flip it. What happens when you train your brain? Through intentional gratitude, through the I get to reframe, through choosing to look for what's good. When you make that your default instead, the opposite happens. Your RAS starts flagging more good things. You notice more good solutions, more beauty, more reasons to keep going, more evidence that God is at work in your life. Your stress hormones decrease, your mood stabilizes, your resilience goes up, your immune system strengthens, and something else happens too. And this ties back to a whole year of work that we've done. You become better at reaching your goals when you are in a positive brain state. Because a brain that is trained to look for opportunity and possibility is obviously a brain that finds opportunity and possibility. While a brain that's constantly looking for what's wrong will find reasons to quit on your goals at every obstacle. Gratitude is not just a spiritual discipline. It's a neurological strategy. And God, being the wonderful designer of our brains, knew that when he instructed us toward it. Our anchor verse says to consider it pure joy when we face trials. That's a big ask, isn't it? Pure joy. Not pure tolerance, not just white knuckle through it, but consider it pure joy. Whew. That's a wild request. And I think a lot of people read that and think that it just means that Christians are supposed to be in denial about all the hard things and just be like, God is good all the time. Nothing is bothering me. It's not saying that we shouldn't experience trials. It says consider it pure joy. Some people look at that and think James must have had a really easy life. Anyone who's done research behind the apostles know that that's not true. None of them had an easy life.
They threw him off a roof.
Yeah.
And he lived.
Yeah.
And they killed him.
Which means that was probably a very painful experience. I think that it actually means there's a difference between praising God in the trial and praising God for the trial. And they're both in Scripture. We're supposed to do both. Praising Him in the trial means even while it's hard, even while I don't understand, even while it hurts, I still choose to acknowledge that you are good. Okay, that's the God is good all the time part. You are here, and you haven't left me. That's faith, and it's powerful. But praising Him for it, that takes the posture a step further. That says, I trust that this is actually working something in me that I couldn't get any other way. Like all those failures I read off a minute ago. I trust that I got rejected from this publisher again because there's another one, because my work isn't done, because there's a different path I'm supposed to follow. I trust that I got kicked from my team because there's something better for me and this team is not going to take me there. I trust, right? I trust. That says the testing of my faith is producing perseverance. Right there. That says this struggle is making me mature and complete and not lacking of anything. So I trust. It's not denial of the pain, it's faith in the purpose. I've had to do that recently. This week. In fact, this past month. As you all know, I've been out a few weeks. Between being sick, what seemed constantly, I also got food poisoning on Friday, by the way. So all weekend,
It wasn't our fault.
no it wasn't. I wish I would have gone to Chick-fil-A instead of Chili's.
That made sense.
I've been completely sick all weekend and I just finally kind of sort of feel okay this morning. Right, so, and also of course being exhausted and the Easter festivities and trying to keep getting lessons put together, there were a few moments where I could feel myself slipping into that I have to thinking. I have to push through this. I have to show up even though I feel terrible. And I have to do this. I have to do that. I had to consciously redirect my thought. I get to care for my kids through this illness. I get to slow down and rest. I get to teach these students from afar. I get to do the work that matters. I get to. It didn't make me feel instantly better. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It doesn't work instantly, but it does shift something. And that shift, even when it's small, is the practice. Because the truth I keep coming back to is the things that have shaped me the most. The trials, the failures, the losses, the hard seasons. I would not give them back, and I've had some really hard seasons. I wouldn't trade a single one. Not because they didn't hurt, but because of what they made me, who they made me. What I can now offer other people, including you all, because I went through them. Every failure taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way, and I know that. Every hard season built up a muscle I would not have built in comfort. Every disappointment redirected me somewhere better than I was headed. Side note, which tree is stronger, the tree that grew up with no wind, or the tree that grew up with high winds? If a tree grows up with no wind, and then a breeze blows by, what's going to happen?
It's gonna fall.
It never learned to stand. It never learned to fight anything but gravity. As soon as that wind comes around, or a horse brushes up against it, it's going to tip right over. We are the same way as those trees. Mature and complete, not lacking anything. That's the promise. That's where the path runs through and to. Which means every trial that you guys are in right now, because I know you are, all of that is on the path. Rest assured, you're not lost. You're not behind. You're being built purposefully. Those winds are making you stronger. All right. So I want you guys to go ahead and open your journals to a blank page. Go ahead and write down so you guys can pick and choose which one you want. I'm going to write 3 questions up here. You just have to answer one of them in your journal.
You get to answer one of them.
Exactly. first question. What are you still carrying that you need to sit down? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be crazy. I need more room for my other questions. I'm erasing this. My goodness. This needs a spray, doesn't it? Okay. So it doesn't have to be big, it can be small, but something you know that you've been holding on to longer than you should. What is a failure that you've had in your life that ended up good or ended up leading to something good in your life? And you know that it was actually meant to happen, right? Even if it's small, something that redirected you to something that was good. And then your third option is think of 3 things that you say have to about, that you could change to get to. 3 things, 3 have-tos. Like, ugh, I have to clean the litter boxes. Or I get to clean the litter boxes. I get to have wonderful cats that don't like to go outside. I have to make dinner again. I get to provide healthy meals for my family every single day. That's one of mine. Sorry. We've still got about 15 minutes of class. I'm going to go over a recap real quick. Basically the notes that are on your homework page or your recap page. This is what I want you guys to remember from today's lesson. The weight you carry doesn't get heavier because the world is piling more on you. It gets heavier because you keep holding on to it instead of putting it down at the feet of Jesus like we're supposed to. Failure is not the enemy of your success. It is the tuition you pay for it. Every person we've talked about over the course of this whole class who accomplished something remarkable, every one of them paid that tuition over and over, and they didn't get a refund, but they got something better. They got the life that was waiting for them on the other side of not quitting. And gratitude, real practiced, chosen gratitude, is one of the most powerful tools in your entire personal development arsenal. It rewires your brain. It shifts your filter. It literally changes what you experience, and it honors God, who designed you to live thankfully. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Mature and complete, not lacking anything. That's God's promise. Trust the process. Now for homework, I get to practice, okay? Every morning this week, before you start your day, I want you to say out loud. You don't have to write them down. Just say out loud 3 I get to statements. They can be what you answered today or something specifically about that day's tasks. I get to do my physical at the doctor's office today because I live in a country where we get to see doctors and medical intervention is available. Woohoo! Right? See the good side of it. I get to help my mom with extra chores to prepare the house for a party. Okay, they can be anything, small, big, obvious, unexpected, just 3 every morning, stated out loud. And your other part of homework is to keep using your planner and continue working on your active goals. Big surprise. The goal map doesn't stop just because you're also doing internal work. Both matter. They feed each other. You guys are doing really well, genuinely. We are in the home stretch of this class, and I hope when you look back at the beginning of this year and who you were then versus who you are now, you can see what distance you've traveled. Okay.